It's 11:45 at night, and you're lying in bed for the third time this week, wide awake despite being exhausted. Because every time you try to lie down flat, that familiar burning sensation starts crawling up your chest like molten lava. You prop yourself up with 3 pillows, then 4, desperately trying to find a position where your stomach doesn't feel like it's literally eating itself from the inside out. You've already taken your prescribed medication. You've avoided all the foods your doctor told you to avoid. You're doing everything right according to the basic advice everyone gives for gastritis. Yet here you are again, staring at the ceiling at midnight, wondering if you'll ever sleep peacefully again. What's even more frustrating is that, you're not alone in this struggle. Millions of people with gastritis face this same nightly battle, but somehow that knowledge doesn't make your burning chest feel any better right now. You start calculating how many hours of sleep you might get if you fall asleep in the next hour, knowing that you have that important meeting tomorrow and you can't afford to show up exhausted and unfocused again. The anxiety about not sleeping starts making your symptoms worse, creating a vicious cycle where stress about gastritis makes gastritis worse, which makes sleep impossible, which increases stress, and round you go. I'm here to tell you that this doesn't have to be your reality anymore, because as a practicing gastroenterologist who has treated thousands of patients with gastritis over the past 15 years, I've identified 3 critical mistakes that almost everyone with gastritis makes when trying to sleep. Mistakes that not only prevent restful sleep, but can actually make your gastritis significantly worse over time. These aren't small, insignificant errors. These are major misconceptions that can literally sabotage your healing process and keep you trapped in a cycle of pain and sleeplessness for months or even years longer than necessary. Today, I'm going to explain exactly what these 3 dangerous mistakes are, why they're so harmful to your recovery, and most importantly, what you should be doing instead to sleep safely and comfortably while your stomach heals. This information comes directly from the latest gastroenterological research and my extensive clinical experience treating patients just like you. And I guarantee that once you understand and correct these mistakes, you'll start sleeping better within just a few days. Before we dive into these life-changing insights, I want you to think honestly about your current sleep situation with gastritis. How many nights this week have you laid awake past midnight because of stomach pain or burning sensations? How many times have you woken up at 2 or 3 in the morning with that terrible acidic taste in your mouth and that feeling like your chest is on fire? How many mornings have you started your day already exhausted because gastritis robbed you of restorative sleep yet again? If you're nodding along to any of these questions, please give this video a thumbs up right now, because your engagement helps me reach more people who are suffering in silence just like you were, and every person who finds relief through this information represents a victory we can celebrate together. I also want to ask you to subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell, because I regularly share advanced medical insights about digestive health that you simply won't find in basic online articles or general health advice. My goal is to bridge the gap between complex medical knowledge and practical solutions that real people can implement in their daily lives to achieve genuine healing and lasting relief. The first catastrophic mistake that almost every gastritis patient makes when trying to sleep is lying completely flat on their back or stomach immediately after taking their evening medications or consuming anything within 3 hours of bedtime. This seems harmless enough and most people don't even think about it as a potential problem. But from a gastroenterological perspective, this is one of the worst things you can do for several interconnected physiological reasons. When you lie flat with gastritis, you're essentially fighting against gravity and the natural anatomy of your digestive system, creating a perfect storm for increased acid reflux, prolonged gastric irritation, and significantly worsened inflammation throughout the night. Here's exactly what happens inside your body when you make this mistake, and why it's so damaging to your healing process. When you have gastritis, the protective mucus layer in your stomach is already compromised and inflamed, leaving the delicate stomach lining vulnerable to acid damage. Under normal circumstances, when you're upright, gravity helps keep stomach contents in the stomach where they belong, and the natural curvature of your digestive tract works with gravity to promote proper gastric emptying and prevent acid from backing up into the esophagus. However, when you lie flat, especially within 3 hours of eating, drinking, or taking medications, several problematic things happen simultaneously. First, any remaining food, liquid, or medication in your stomach becomes much more likely to slosh around and come into direct contact with already inflamed areas of your stomach lining, causing immediate irritation and increased acid production. Second, the angle between your stomach and esophagus becomes much more horizontal, making it significantly easier for acidic stomach contents to flow backward into your esophagus, causing what we call gastroesophageal reflux, which not only burns your esophagus, but also creates additional acid that flows back down into your stomach, creating a cycle of increased acidity and inflammation. Third, and this is something most patients don't realize, lying flat actually changes the pressure dynamics within your abdomen in ways that can increase gastric acid secretion and slow down the natural emptying of your stomach contents into the small intestine. When gastric emptying is delayed, food and acid remain in contact with your inflamed stomach lining for much longer periods, essentially bathing your damaged tissue in irritating substances for hours longer than necessary. This prolonged contact time significantly increases inflammation, slows healing, and often leads to that terrible morning burning sensation that so many gastritis patients experience upon waking. The correct approach, which has been validated in multiple clinical studies and consistently produces better outcomes in my patients, is to sleep with your upper body elevated at approximately a 15 to 20 degree angle. This isn't just propping yourself up with a few pillows, which often leads to neck strain and slides down during the night, but rather creating a gradual, consistent incline from your waist to your head, using either an adjustable bed, a foam wedge specifically designed for this purpose, or a carefully arranged system of pillows that maintains the proper angle throughout the night. This elevation works with gravity to keep stomach contents where they belong, reduces pressure on the lower esophageal sphincter, promotes faster gastric emptying, and significantly reduces the likelihood of acid reflux episodes during sleep. Additionally, you should avoid lying down in any position for at least 3 hours after consuming anything other than small sips of room temperature water. This 3-hour rule is based on the average gastric emptying time for most people, though individuals with gastritis often have slower emptying times and may benefit from waiting even longer. During these 3 hours before bed, gentle activities like reading, light stretching, or calm conversation can help promote digestion and prepare your body for rest without aggravating your stomach. The second major mistake that's sabotaging your sleep and slowing your recovery is eating or drinking the wrong things in the hours leading up to bedtime, often including foods and beverages that are generally considered healthy but are actually problematic for people with gastritis, especially when consumed in the evening. This mistake is particularly insidious because many patients think they're making good choices by avoiding obviously problematic foods like spicy or fried items, but they unknowingly consume other substances that can be just as damaging to an inflamed stomach, particularly when consumed close to bedtime, when your digestive system is preparing to slow down for the night. One of the most common examples of this mistake is drinking herbal teas that are generally considered soothing, but can actually irritate gastritis symptoms when consumed in the evening. Peppermint tea, for instance, is widely recommended for digestive issues and is genuinely helpful for many conditions. But for people with gastritis and gastroesophageal reflux, peppermint can actually relax the lower esophageal sphincter, making acid reflux significantly worse during sleep. Similarly, citrus-based herbal teas, even those with anti-inflammatory properties, can increase stomach acidity when consumed on an already sensitive stomach, leading to increased pain and inflammation during the night. Another incredibly common mistake is consuming what I call hidden acid triggers in the evening. These include foods like tomatoes and tomato-based products, citrus fruits and juices, chocolate in any form, caffeinated beverages including green tea and dark chocolate, alcohol including wine that many people consider relaxing, and even certain seemingly innocent foods like onions, garlic, and vinegar-based salad dressings. Each of these items can significantly increase stomach acid production, delay gastric emptying, or directly irritate inflamed stomach tissue, and their effects are amplified when consumed in the hours before bed because your digestive system's natural protective mechanisms are less active during sleep. Perhaps even more problematic is the timing and composition of evening meals. Many people with gastritis make the mistake of eating their largest meal of the day in the evening, thinking that they need substantial nutrition before the overnight fasting period. But this actually creates the worst possible scenario for gastritis management. Large evening meals require increased acid production for digestion, keep the stomach working actively when it should be resting, increase the likelihood of food remaining in the stomach when you lie down, and can trigger a significant inflammatory response in already damaged stomach tissue. The physiologically sound approach that I recommend to all my gastritis patients is to consume your largest meal of the day at lunch, when your digestive system is most active and efficient. Have a light, easily digestible dinner at least 4 hours before bedtime. And if you need something in the evening, limit yourself to very small amounts of gastritis. Friendly foods like plain crackers, bananas, or a small amount of oatmeal with no added ingredients. For beverages, stick to room temperature water, or specifically formulated gastritis-soothing teas like chamomile, marshmallow root, or slippery elm, consumed at least 2 hours before bed. It's also crucial to understand that your stomach's acid production follows a natural circadian rhythm, with acid secretion typically peaking in the evening and early morning hours. This means that foods that might be well tolerated earlier in the day can cause significantly more problems when consumed in the evening, making timing just as important as food selection for optimal gastritis management. The third and perhaps most dangerous mistake that can actually set back your healing by weeks or months is taking your gastritis medications incorrectly in relation to sleep, particularly proton pump inhibitors, H2 blockers, and antacids. This mistake is extremely widespread because most patients receive very basic instructions about when to take their medications, but they don't understand the complex relationship between medication timing, gastric acid production cycles, and sleep physiology. Getting this wrong doesn't just reduce the effectiveness of your treatment, it can actually make your symptoms worse and significantly delay healing. The most common version of this mistake is taking proton pump inhibitors like omeprazole, lansoprazole, or esomeprazole at the wrong time of day or in the wrong relationship to meals and sleep. Most patients think they should take these medications when they feel symptoms or right before bed to prevent nighttime symptoms. But this completely misunderstands how these medications work at the cellular level. Proton pump inhibitors work by permanently blocking the acid-producing pumps in your stomach lining, but these pumps are only active and accessible to the medication when you're actively digesting food. Taking a PPI on an empty stomach or at bedtime when your digestive system is inactive means the medication largely passes through your system without binding to and disabling the acid pumps. The correct approach, which maximizes therapeutic benefit and promotes better sleep, is to take your PPI approximately 30 to 60 minutes before your first substantial meal of the day, preferably breakfast, when your stomach is preparing to increase acid production for digestion. This timing ensures that the medication is present and active when the acid pumps are most accessible, leading to more complete acid suppression that lasts throughout the day and into the night. Some patients with severe nighttime symptoms may benefit from taking a second dose before lunch, but this should only be done under medical supervision and for specific clinical indications. H2 receptor blockers like ranitidine, famotidine, or cimetidine have a different mechanism of action and different optimal timing requirements. These medications work by blocking histamine receptors that stimulate acid production, and they're particularly effective for controlling nighttime acid production when taken approximately 2 hours before bedtime. However, many patients make the mistake of taking them right before bed or with food, which can reduce their absorption and effectiveness. The optimal approach is to take H2 blockers on an empty stomach about 2 hours before your planned bedtime, allowing adequate time for absorption and onset of action before your stomach's natural nighttime acid production begins. Antacids present their own unique timing challenges because while they provide rapid symptom relief, they can actually interfere with the absorption of other gastritis medications if taken at the wrong times. Many patients develop a habit of taking antacids whenever they feel symptoms, including right before bed. But this can neutralize stomach acid that's needed for proper absorption of PPIs or H2 blockers, reducing the effectiveness of their primary treatment. Additionally, some antacids can cause rebound acid production several hours after they're taken, potentially leading to increased symptoms in the middle of the night. The medically sound approach to antacid use involves taking them only when necessary for breakthrough symptoms, at least 2 hours after other gastritis medications, and never within 4 hours of bedtime unless specifically recommended by your healthcare provider for severe symptoms. When antacids are needed for nighttime symptom control, calcium carbonate-based antacids are generally preferable to aluminum or magnesium-based formulations because they're less likely to cause rebound effects and don't interfere with sleep quality. Another critical medication mistake that affects sleep is not coordinating gastritis treatment with other medications that can worsen symptoms. Many common medications, including NSAIDs for pain relief, aspirin for heart protection, certain blood pressure medications, some antibiotics, and even seemingly harmless supplements like iron or vitamin C can significantly worsen gastritis symptoms, particularly when taken in the evening or without proper gastric protection. Patients often don't realize that the timing of these medications can make the difference between a peaceful night's sleep and hours of gastric misery. Now, I want to pause here and ask you a very important question that will help me understand which of these three critical mistakes has been affecting your sleep the most severely. Looking back over the past week, which of these dangerous patterns do you recognize in your own nighttime routine? Is it lying flat too soon after eating or taking medications, unknowingly consuming gastritis triggers in the evening hours when your stomach is most vulnerable, or taking your gastritis medications at times when they can't work effectively to protect your sleep? I want you to write in the comment section like this: "My biggest mistake has been," and then honestly share which of these three errors you now realize has been sabotaging your recovery. Your honesty and self-reflection not only help me understand what content is most valuable for this community, but your comment might also help another person recognize their own patterns and take steps toward better sleep and faster healing. Beyond avoiding these three critical mistakes, there are several additional strategies that I recommend to my gastritis patients to optimize their sleep environment and promote healing during the crucial overnight hours when your body does most of its repair work. First, maintain a consistent sleep schedule that allows for adequate rest while working with your body's natural circadian rhythms. Going to bed and waking up at the same times each day helps regulate your stomach's acid production cycles and can significantly improve both sleep quality and gastritis symptoms over time. Most adults need 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night, and people with gastritis often need closer to 8 or 9 hours because the healing process is energy-intensive and requires adequate rest to be effective. Temperature control in your sleeping environment is also more important than most people realize for gastritis management. Your bedroom should be kept between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit because temperatures that are too warm can increase inflammation throughout your body, including in your digestive system, while temperatures that are too cool can increase muscle tension and stress hormones that can worsen gastritis symptoms. Additionally, excessive heat can increase acid production and delay gastric emptying, while proper temperature regulation supports optimal melatonin production, which has its own anti-inflammatory effects that can benefit gastritis healing. Creating a pre-sleep routine that actively supports gastric healing can make a dramatic difference in both sleep quality and symptom management. This routine should begin approximately 2 hours before your planned bedtime and might include gentle activities like reading, light stretching, meditation, or listening to calming music, all of which help activate your parasympathetic nervous system and prepare your digestive system for the overnight healing period. Avoid stimulating activities like intense exercise, stressful conversations, work-related tasks, or screen time from devices that emit blue light, as these can increase stress hormones and interfere with both sleep onset and gastric healing processes. Consider incorporating specific relaxation techniques that have been shown to reduce gastric acid production and improve sleep quality in gastritis patients. Progressive muscle relaxation, where you systematically tense and release muscle groups throughout your body, can help reduce overall inflammation and prepare your body for restorative sleep. Deep breathing exercises, particularly those that focus on lengthening the exhale phase, activate the vagus nerve and promote the rest and digest response that's optimal for gastric healing. Even simple techniques like counting breaths or focusing on the sensation of breathing can help shift your nervous system away from the stress response that often worsens gastritis symptoms. The quality of your sleep surface and pillow arrangement can also significantly impact your gastritis symptoms and sleep quality. A mattress that provides proper spinal alignment while allowing you to maintain the recommended 15 to 20 degree elevation is crucial for preventing nighttime reflux and promoting comfortable sleep. Memory foam or latex mattresses often work well because they contour to your body while maintaining support. But the most important factor is finding a surface that keeps your spine aligned while elevated. Your pillow arrangement should support this elevation without causing neck strain or sliding during the night, which might require investing in specialized wedge pillows or adjustable bed systems. Pay attention to your clothing choices for sleep, as tight-fitting garments, particularly around the waist and chest, can increase abdominal pressure and worsen reflux symptoms during the night. Loose, breathable sleepwear made from natural fibers allows for better temperature regulation and doesn't restrict the natural movement of your diaphragm and rib cage during breathing, both of which can impact gastritis symptoms and sleep quality. It's also important to understand the relationship between stress, sleep, and gastritis, because this creates a complex cycle that can either support healing or perpetuate symptoms depending on how it's managed. Chronic stress increases cortisol production, which directly increases stomach acid production and delays gastric healing. Poor sleep increases stress hormones and reduces the body's natural anti-inflammatory processes. Gastritis symptoms increase stress and interfere with sleep. Understanding this cycle allows you to take a more comprehensive approach to healing that addresses not just the physical symptoms, but also the stress and sleep components that are often overlooked in standard gastritis treatment. Developing a consistent wind-down routine that specifically addresses gastritis-related anxiety can break this cycle and promote both better sleep and faster healing. This might include keeping a symptom journal where you track your daily symptoms, sleep quality, and potential triggers, which can help you identify patterns and feel more in control of your condition. Many patients find that writing down their worries or concerns before bed helps prevent rumination that can keep them awake and worsen symptoms through increased stress. If you suffer from gastritis-related insomnia that persists even after correcting these 3 major mistakes, it may be worth discussing with your healthcare provider whether there are underlying issues that need to be addressed, such as Helicobacter pylori infection, medication side effects, or other medical conditions that can complicate gastritis treatment. Sometimes what appears to be simple gastritis is actually part of a more complex digestive disorder that requires specialized treatment approaches. For patients who continue to experience nighttime symptoms despite following proper sleep positioning, dietary timing, and medication protocols, there are additional medical interventions that can be extremely helpful. These might include prescription sleep aids that don't worsen gastritis, specialized prokinetic medications that improve gastric emptying, or advanced diagnostic testing to identify specific triggers or complications that aren't responding to standard treatment approaches. Remember that healing from gastritis particularly chronic gastritis that has been present for months or years, is typically a gradual process that requires patience and consistency with proper management techniques. Most patients begin to notice improvements in sleep quality within the first week of correcting these three major mistakes, with more significant improvements in overall symptoms, typically occurring over the course of several weeks to a few months, depending on the severity of the initial condition and how consistently the recommendations are followed. The most important thing to understand is that these three mistakes that I've outlined today aren't just minor inconveniences that make you slightly uncomfortable. They're significant obstacles to healing that can keep you trapped in a cycle of poor sleep and persistent symptoms for months or years longer than necessary. By recognizing and correcting these patterns, you're not just improving your short-term comfort, you're actively supporting your body's natural healing processes and creating the conditions necessary for long-term recovery and improved quality of life. If you found this information helpful and you're ready to take control of your gastritis and reclaim your sleep, I want to encourage you to subscribe to this channel right now and activate the notification bell, because I regularly share advanced medical insights and practical solutions that can make a real difference in your digestive health journey. This isn't just generic health advice that you can find anywhere on the internet. This is specialized gastroenterological knowledge based on years of clinical experience and the latest research in digestive medicine. I also want to encourage you to share this video with anyone in your life who you know is struggling with gastritis, acid reflux, or other digestive issues that interfere with sleep, because this information has the potential to significantly improve their quality of life and speed their recovery. There are millions of people suffering unnecessarily from gastritis-related sleep problems simply because they don't have access to this specialized medical knowledge, and your sharing could be exactly what someone needs to finally get the restful sleep they deserve. Thank you for taking the time to learn about these critical gastritis management strategies and for trusting me to be part of your healing journey. I'm confident that if you implement these corrections consistently and patiently, you'll start to experience the peaceful, restorative sleep that's essential for both gastritis recovery and overall health and well-being. Sleep well, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll dive even deeper into advanced strategies for digestive health and optimal wellness.